This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ten lektor robi całą robotę w tej grze, jest cudowny.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Okej.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Korpo.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push.
O, pisze jak moja pani po prostu na zajęciach we dzienniku, jednym palcem po klawiaturze. Trochę nudne szare życie korpo kolesia, ale...
Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was...
A nie no, jak Stanley był szczęśliwy, dobrze dla niego.
And then one day something very peculiar happened.
Co się wydarzyło?
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
Wszyscy
Never
zniknęli?
in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his
Zmroziło
wits
go.
and regained his senses, he got up from his desk
Odpalił
and
mojego
stepped out of
streama,
his
wszystko
office.
jasne. Dobra. Słuchaj, Stanley. Będziemy szukać ludzi. Czemu nikogo kuźwa nie ma? Czyżby cały świat wyparł... Czemu ja nie mam nóg? Gdzie są moje nogi? Kuźwa, dobra. Okej. Pracownik numer 427. Ty, no
All of
nikogo
his
nie ma. O!
coworkers were gone. What could it mean?
Nie wiem, co to
Stanley
mogło
decided to
znaczyć.
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, meeting room. Gdzie jest meeting room? Kogo nie ma. Ja pierdzielę. O!
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okej. I tu się właśnie chyba zaczyna prawdziwe Stanley Parable, gdzie dostajesz instrukcję od pana narratora, ale możesz zrobić coś naprzeciw. Pójdźmy w prawo.
This was not the correct way to the
Haha,
meeting room,
mam
and
cię.
Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Aha,
Perhaps he
wiedziałem
wanted
to.
to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
To jest z jednej strony trochę takie
Yes, truly a room worth admiring.
dziwne, nie?
It had
Że
really
każdy
been
twój
worth
ruch
the
jest
detour
znany, że
after all,
wszystko jest
just to spend a
przewidziane.
few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Można by to potraktować jak trochę taką aluzję do pracy w korpo, że chcesz wyrwać się z tego nudnego i szarego życia.
Really, really worth it being here in the room.
Narrator się wkurza, że tyle tu siedzę.
utterly captivating that even though all your coworkers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Dobra, przestań stary, może chcę po prostu pooglądać. A posiedźmy tu jeszcze dłużej. Ciekawe jak bardzo się zdenerwujesz. Posiedźmy tu dłużej.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy
Oho.
and reflected poorly on his overall personality.
O kuźwa.
It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Nie, to nie dlatego. A co się stanie, jak jeszcze tu posiedzę? No? No, co się stanie?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
O, to na pewno. No, jeszcze tutaj troszkę posiedzę. Co tam, panie narratorze? Nie podoba ci się, nie? Że nie idę do przodu. Nie podoba ci się. Bardzo ci się nie podoba. No powiedz coś. Wiem, że chcesz. Kurde, to chyba wszystko, co miał do powiedzenia. A mogę wyjść? Z powrotem? Nie. Zamknął mi. Skurczybyk. Dobra.
But at last he'd had enough of the amazing room.
Nie wyrwałem mu
Took the
się.
first open door on his
Wygrał.
left to get back to business.
W lewo, ta? No dobra, to idę prosto.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Okay. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion. Will cause death. Tak?
But in his
O
eagerness
kuźwa.
to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Okay.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
No nie, no! Nie mogę się wyrwać! Wypuść mnie z tego biura!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, a co gdybym poszedł znowu w prawo, ale za drugim razem posłuchał instrukcji?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Nie.
it was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Dobra.
Yes, this room. What a beautiful room.
O,
What a
czekaj, czy to nie jest coś...
gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room.
Poczekaj.
Life without having experienced this room
Zostanę tu
was now
znowu.
too horrible even to consider.
No. Co tam?
Yes.
Dobra, okej, mówisz to samo.
Really worth it being here in the room, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Dobra, zobaczmy co się stanie teraz jak pójdę tu.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door,
proszę.
and got back on track.
Do tych drzwi, a co gdybym poszedł tu? O, widzisz.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track.
Masz jakiś
So
problem,
now in order
stary?
to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
A co na przykład tutaj z drzwiami? A, już się gubisz, co? Już nie wiesz, gdzie mam iść. Już nie wiesz, jak mnie kierować. Kuźwa, naprawdę nie wypuścisz mnie? Podoba mi się to, że za każdym razem, jak próbuję coś kliknąć, to słychać ten dźwięk klawiatury. Zajebiste to jest. Dostałem achievementa na Steamie You Can't Jump. No dobra,
Oh,
idę.
no, it's to the right. My mistake.
Okej!
No, not the
Stary!
right. Why
Przestań
would I
ze mną
have ever
grać.
said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Kurwa, uwielbiam tę grę.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
No trochę ci się pomyliło, nie? Nie przejedź mnie, proszę. Okej. Co jest? Co to jest za mroczna część tego biura? Co jest grane?
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a
Monitorujesz
spoiler. Quick,
wszystkich.
Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable.
Panie
Rather
narratorze,
than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the
nikogo
beginning.
nie ma.
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm?
Zwolniony?
From the top.
Ty szmato! Zobaczyłem coś, czego nie powinienem.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, a co jeżeli pójdę tam... Nie, to pewnie będzie to samo, ale... Dobra, chodźmy teraz w lewo.
Wait,
O!
what?
O!
No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, Did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors?
Nie, tylko na nie
Did you move
patrzyłem.
the story somewhere or Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story.
Prawda?
It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Dał mi wybór. Pójdę... Kurde... O! Nie można skakać w tej grze. Tu pójdę. Pierwsze w prawo. O ja pierdzielę. Dobra. W prawo i...
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we just...
Nie! Nie! Nie restartuj! Nie restartuj!
I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this.
Nie, 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 nie,
Okay,
nie!
let's give it a shot. Why
Nie!
not?
Nie! Nie! No kurwa.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ogram cię. Zobaczysz, ogram cię.
Okay, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong.
No, coś ci nie wyszło.
It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
O, mówisz? Co mogliśmy przegapić? Chyba nic.
Aha! I knew we'd missed something.
To był mój pokój!
The story. Here it comes.
Coś ty namieszał.
No, wait, never
kręcimy
mind.
się w
Not
kółko.
the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace
A,
our
myślę, że
steps.
lepiej będzie się cofnąć. Halo? Co tu się odwala? Co jest, kurwa?
Now this, well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story?
Nie
I
wiem.
think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
Też mi się wydaje, że powinniśmy być w
Do
biurze.
you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Nie.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel
No
right about this at
właśnie,
all.
właśnie.
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that.
Ej, trochę się postarałem.
People win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time.
Nie!
I have to restart.
Nie! The Stanley
All
Parable
right,
Adventure
I've got a
Line.
solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable
Dzięki.
Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
No dobra. Co jak pójdę tu? Przy pierwszej możliwej okazji to zgubię, cwaniaczku. No i co?
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Nie, ja tu czekam. Ja tu czekam, stary. Co mi powiesz? Co teraz? Żadna linia. Nie będziesz mi warunków dyktował. Kuźwa. Chyba się nie da. Trzeba posprawdzać te drzwi. No dobra. Niech ci będzie.
You see? The line knows where the story is.
Yeah.
It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a
Lubię
journey
go.
such that a
Pofilozofować sobie
destination
lubi
is
gość.
inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now we can both
Spoko,
agree that the
posłucham.
nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence.
Co ty pierdzielisz, Laluna?
If my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa.
No, trochę przesadzasz.
Weird back there?
Tak.
Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that.
Dobra, ja wiem, gdzie
You
idę.
know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Nie, Jezu, co to jest? Ała! Ała! Szmato! Co jest grane? Cofam się. Zobaczę, czy coś się stanie, jak się cofnę. Jakie to jest głośne gówno! Kurde, no nic. Dobra, idziemy za linią. Niech to się skończy, proszę. On to zrobił celowo. Wiedział, że chce się pozbyć muzyki. Co jest? Trochę ci linia nie wyszła. O! Ajajaj. Okej, dobra, widzę, że tutaj już leków nie wziął. Ciekawie. Co tu się odwala? Skończ tę muzę, proszę, proszę. Gdzie ja jestem?
Wait, cut the music.
Dziękuję.
Go back and look at that fern.
A?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Okej.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Słuchaj, to nie ja rysowałem linię. O!
Oh, no, not again.
I co
Line,
teraz
how could you have
powiesz?
done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Nie no!
You know what, Stanley?
Oho.
I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
To może ją
We're
usuń.
intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own?
Pewnie,
story?
jesteśmy mega
Something
inteligentni.
exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable.
Świetnie
Why don't
brzmi.
we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Aha. No mogę pójść, pewnie.
Now, yes, this is exciting.
Bardzo.
Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for
Póki
it.
co kręcimy się w kółko. O, ciekawe.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Dobra, olej linię, tylko nie puszczaj muzyki, proszę, proszę, nie puszczaj muzyki. O kurwa.
A choice. We get
Gabinet
to make a
owalny.
decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Okej.
How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where they're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And
Dobra.
that in turn means that our
Czemu
destination
nie?
corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door...
Znowu filozofujesz, mordo.
going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Aha. The confusion ending. Ha!
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game what,
Nie.
eight times?
A, tu masz instrukcję, jak do tego
Really how
doprowadzić.
all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My
Prawda,
mind
nie
goes
daj się.
blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of
No.
this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the
Bardzo
game.
dobrze.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Bardzo dobrze.
And the timer stopped.
Co jest?
Does that mean did we do it? Did we break the cycle?
O,
The,
zatrzymało się.
whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
Okej.
We'll find out, won't we?
Co jest? Po długim czasie Stanley umiera? Nie, nie, nie. Co jest? Ograli nawet narratora. Dobra. Let's go.
All of his co-workers
No
were
nie,
gone.
znowu
What did it
jesteśmy...
mean?
Nie ma
Stanley
linii.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okej. Co za kubek? I hate Mondays. Okej, no w sumie w korpo zrozumiały kubek.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Dobra, tym razem się posłuchajmy. O, jest meeting room.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Do bossa. How to solve a dispute with a coworker. O kuźwa, normalnie prezentacja. Post review. Cała taktyka. Broom closet. O!
Stanley stepped into the broom closet,
Oh!
but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Tak? A co jak posiedzę trochę z miotłami? A?
There was nothing
Haha!
no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Nie, coś mi się wydaje, że jest powód.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet.
Ma dosyć.
He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
No,
Are you really still in the broom closet?
tak,
Standing around doing nothing?
tak.
Why?
Bo
Please
chcę cię
offer me some
posłuchać.
explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Co jeszcze powiesz?
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out.
No widzisz,
It
jednak.
didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story.
Gdyby nie miała znaczenia, to by jej nie zrobiono.
I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." Your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really...
Ej, ty szmato!
He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Co?
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got
Co?
into the room closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard.
Nie.
Well, in a situation
Próbuje mnie
like this,
wygonić,
the
za wszelką
responsible thing is
cenę.
to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video games.
Ale on jest zły na
So
mnie.
the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right. When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Nie. Czekam. A co jeżeli wyjdę?
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Czekam dalej. Co mi powiesz? Kuźwa, dobra. Kto by pomyślał, że składzik namiotu będzie tak interesujący? Obraził się na mnie. Dobra, miałem iść do szefa, tak?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Upstairs? Dobra. Co jest? O,
But Stanley
parking?
just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours.
O
He
właśnie.
might be fired
Tak,
for
tak,
that.
dokładnie
And
dlatego.
in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
O kuźwa.
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment.
Ale tak się
for
stało.
No reason at all.
Nie
None of it made
oszalałem.
any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close
Powiedziałem to na
automatically behind
początku.
him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue.
No.
He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley
Chyba to
felt
nie jest
to have
sen.
finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon.
Chyba się
I'll
nie
go
obudzisz,
back
bo to
to
nie
my
jest sen,
boring
Stanley.
real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Okej.
He imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun.
Co
And
jest?
Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner.
No.
Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm
Czemu
doing and
w
thinking?
śnie jest
Well,
narrator?
the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
Ale to wryje
I'm dreaming about
beret.
a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream.
Czyli
How could
jednak.
it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself?
No, możliwe, też tak robię.
Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too, surely,
Ta
if he could
muzyka.
just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently,
Aha.
and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the
Czyli
mattress
jednak
on his
sen.
the
Jednak
fresh
sen.
air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Ej, dobra, to jednak jest trochę
Please.
creepy.
It's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job.
Dajcie wrócić
All I
Stanleya
want is
do
my life
normalności.
exactly the way it's always
Dajcie
been.
mu żyć.
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
No nie wiem. Kuźwa, dalej tu. Huh.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake
Co
me up. My
jest?
name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me
Co się
I'm
dzieje?
real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Huh.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Co?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings,
O
and walked to
kuźwa!
her place of work. But on this particular
Uh.
day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered
Stanley.
the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment,
Aha.
she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better.
Boże, co?
Then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life.
Bez
She
kitu,
had
tutaj
no
mam
time
nogi.
for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ciekawe. Aha. No tak. Wypuść mnie! Co jest, kurwa, dalej w biurze?
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers.
Oh!
Stanley thought, how amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
O, jest inaczej. Wniosek jest prosty, nie pracujcie w korpo, bo wam odwali.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
No dobra. To było najbardziej creepy zakończenie ze wszystkich.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to
Dobra.
a staircase, Stanley walked
Czyli na dole był
upstairs to
ten
his
sen.
boss's office.
Chodźmy do szefa w takim razie. Ty, szef to ma nieźle. O, łazienka. O! Może... Kuźwa, nie ma odbicia. Mąka W. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp. Okej. Mam nogi? Oczywiście, że nie. O! O! Co ty masz za obraz? Mąka W. Business strategy. Aha. Miałem iść do szefa, ale... Ta winda kusi. No i to jest muza. Czy to będzie nieskończona podróż windą? Coś długo to trwa. Ty, ta gra jest w ogóle lepsza niż myślałem. Naprawdę. Narrator jest wybitny, a sam fakt tego, ile możliwości jest tutaj przewidzianych i że na wszystko ci odpowiada, to jest absolutna rewelacja. Ja sobie zaczynam, wiesz, od razu myśleć nad tym, jak ta gra musiała być robiona. Jak oni musieli się zastanawiać nad każdą możliwością, nad każdą gałęzią, którą możesz podążyć. Ale no tak jak mówiłem, mocne takie... Przekaz, jakby Stanley chciał się wyrwać po prostu z tego szarego życia, a nie mógł. Cały czas wszystko jest przewidziane dla niego. Ty, to trochę długo jedziemy. Ty, narrator chyba nuci, bez kitu. Dobra, wypuść mnie, co? O! O! No nie. A na dół? Dobra. O! Aha. Kuźwa. O, to jest biuro szefa.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any
Nawet
human
szefa
life.
nie ma.
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad
Mroczny
behind
sekret.
the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845.
O, dzięki.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Podoba mi się to, że narrator se mówi, ale jednak Stanley niby nie wie, nie? Ty, jaki był ten kod? Już zapomniałem. Kuźwa.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was
dzięki.
2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the
Wcale nie.
keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazingly,
Co
he
jest?
stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Niezłe, szefie. Oj, jest mrocznie. Czyżby to on za tym wszystkim stał? Ho. Dobra, pojedźmy na dół.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go
proszę.
unanswered for long.
O kuźwa. Gdzie teraz jesteśmy? Tu mnie nie...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Placówka
Control Facility.
kontroli umysłów? Ucieczka? Co jest, kuźwa? Czy to jest ten pokój? To jest inny.
The lights rose
A
on an
jednak.
enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Kontrola umysłów. Wszyscy pracownicy zaprogramowani. Są te kamery na każdy pokój, nie? Ho. Oho.
Now the monitors jumped
Ja
to life,
pierdzielę.
their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Łąka W.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Kurwa, to jest dziwne.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
Nie, no na pewno to nie jest nic złego. To monitorowanie wszystkich pracowników i kontrolowanie umysłów? Nie, nie.
Wasn't it?
Nie, to
Was it even
niemożliwe.
possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
O kuźwa, centrum
Controls
dowodzenia.
labeled with emotions. Happy or sad
Co?
or content.
autentycznie
eating, working,
nawet
all
emocje
of it
programowane?
monitored and commanded from this
Co
very place.
jest?
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Bardzo dobrze,
For
Stanley.
he would dismantle the controls once
Wyłączamy to
and
gówno.
for all.
Tylko jak? Ale fajne. Tu jest power, dobra. Chodźmy, odetnijmy. 5? Mind controls idle awaiting.
And when
Wydupcaj,
at last he
Stanley.
found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Z drugiej strony, narrator chce, żebyśmy to wyłączyli, a co gdybyśmy to włączyli? Kontrolujmy umysły ludzi.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Sorry.
After they kept you enslaved all
Kusiło.
these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you
Przepraszam.
wanted? Control?
Przepraszam, no. Chciałem, żeby Twitch Prime'a kupili.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than
On wie!
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation
Co
system.
proszę?
In the event
On
this
chce mnie
machine is
wysadzić.
activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
Nie, nie, nie!
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley?
O ty szmato,
Your time to
ogram cię.
shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to
Jak
your
to wyłączyć?
heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it.
Kuźwa.
Mere moments
0521?
until the bomb goes off. But what
0142001?
precious is.
Były...
More time to talk
Tu
about
są
you,
przyciski z cyframi.
where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start.
Kuźwa.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
5.
A moment of solace before you're obliterated?
5.
All right, I'm in a good mood.
5,
You're
dobra,
gonna
idę
die
kliknąć
anyway.
5.
I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned
Co?
off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever,
co tu
pushing
chodzi?
buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has
może-
been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34
Nie!
seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock.
O, dzięki!
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer
Idę
that
tutaj.
something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running
jest
from
czwórka.
button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These number
On wie.
buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Sold? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Przeraża mnie ten narrator teraz. O ja pierdzielę.
You're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving
Tu jest
along.
trójka, tam
It's
jest
just
piątka.
seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing
Tu
instead of
jest
watching
jedynka,
cutscenes
dwójka. Dobra,
without
zróbmy tak.
watching
1,
every moment that you're
2,
powerless. to see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to
Kurwa, tam była trójka.
first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Nie!
30 seconds until a big boom and then
3.
no ending here. Just you being
Szybko,
blown.
szybko, szybko.
Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another
4.
choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke.
Nie!
And believe me,
Tam
I
jest
will
piątka na
live every
końcu.
second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Happily ever after, ta? Nie mów, że w biurze. Kuźwa! Robimy to jeszcze raz.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started.
Co?
And if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Właśnie, czemu nie mogę wyjrzeć za okno? Odcięcie od świata. Ty, w sumie nie rozkminiałem tego wcześniej, ale patrzcie, że Stanley nie ma żadnych... Kurde. On nie ma żadnych okien w pokoju. Przerażające.
When Stanley came to a
Totalna
set of two
izolacja.
open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to
Idziemy do
his
szefa.
boss's office.
Idziemy do szefa i rozwiążemy tę zagadkę z kontrolą umysłów.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Don't switch the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Okej. Dzięki, stary. Ja pierdzielę. A gdyby
Stanley walked
sprawdzić
straight ahead through the large
escape,
door that read Mind Control Facility.
sprawdzę escape'a teraz.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Co? Idę! Trzeba sprawdzić. Ale
The door
co?
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Nie, stary. Wydaje mi się, że
At this
tylko mnie
point,
straszysz.
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Oho. Czyli jednak. Ale czemu śmierć? O kuźwa. O kuźwa. A widzisz. Nie umarłem. Co teraz, narratorze?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture.
Oj.
He doesn't know the
Oj.
real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss. Plucking the
kuźwa,
eyeballs from a
narrator.
blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
Wyjść się da? Da się wyjść?
Farewell, Stanley.
Da, trzymaj się.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator.
Co?
As Stanley was led helplessly into
Co
the
jest?
enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Huh. Co kuźwa? The Stanley Parable. Co się stało z narratorem?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as
typowo.
ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Co my mamy tutaj? Co jest?
When every path you can walk has been created for you
To
long
wygląda
in
jakbym
advance,
faktycznie umarł i
death
był w
becomes
niebie.
meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already
Biuro.
dead from the moment he hit
Mój
start?
pokój. Może to czyściec? The Office. Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and synthesized tone. Okay. Kredycy. Kevin Brightening as the narrator. No, kurde. Szef. Ale co się dzieje? Muzeum Stanleya to jest. Maintenance room. Jest tu wszystko. Cała moja przygoda. Warzone? Jak to Warzone? Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on the battlefield fighting aliens. Kurwa, co? Proszę powiedz, że jest takie zakończenie. Powiedz, proszę, błagam. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Wydaje mi się, że takie zakończenie może być. Nie zdziwiłbym się. Co mamy tutaj? Narrator emails. O! Will the Stanley Parable have infinite quests? How many ending? If the Stanley... How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game ever? What is the difference between a duck? Okay. Huh. 427. Game design mockup. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent David, the writer, as the kind of audition piece. Yes. Winda. A co to? O!
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another.
Że ja i
How they
narrator?
both wish to be free.
Co jeżeli wyłączę Stanley Parable?
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
Jak?
Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path.
A, czyli mam wyjść z gry po
Your
prostu.
only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it.
Nie.
Don't let time choose
Nie.
for you. Don't let...
No cóż, dzisiaj mielone ze Stanleya. O, poproszę.
All of his co-workers were gone.
What could it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
O
Perhaps he had
Boże.
simply missed a memo.
Dobra, czyli escape ending. O, patrz jaki symbolizm. To wcale nie chodziło o ucieczkę. To chodziło o to, że to był escape ending, w którym miałem kliknąć escape i wyjść z gry, bo bym został zmiażdżony. Ale kuźwa sprytne.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Dobra.
Here's the door, just go.
Coraz bardziej mu się nie chce. Masz tu drzwi. Dobra.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No to już znamy. Znamy.
The lights rose on an
Kusi mnie, żeby
enormous
jakoś
room
stąd
packed with
zeskoczyć, ale
television screens.
chyba się nie da.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now,
Dobra,
the
odpalę
monitors
kamery.
jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Jezusku. No to jest to miejsce, w którym narrator nie jest mega śmieszny, tylko jest po prostu straszny.
Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Dobra.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
Never.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Dobra.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Teraz tak.
Controls labeled with emotions.
Idę do tego Power Facility, ale...
Or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored.
Czy ja chcę klikać inaczej? Nie no, chcę ograć wybuch.
And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try
Da
to
się
take
ograć
control
wybuch,
of the
jestem
machine
przekonany,
for
że się
yourself.
da.
Is that what you wanted?
Musi tak być.
Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
Oho.
Now this is making things a
Dobra,
little more fun,
co tu się
isn't it?
wyświetla? Dwójka.
Your time to shine. You are the star.
Klikam dwójkę.
It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so
Kurwa, nie
little
zmienia
time
się.
left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means.
Push.
I barely know where to start.
Purple
What's that?
4?
You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment
Czekaj.
of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell
Nie
it,
zmieniło
I
się,
simply
dobra.
let you sit there in your office forever, pushing
Tylko, że nie ma
buttons
chyba
endlessly
przycisków
and
z
then
cyframi
dying alone.
kolorowych.
Other times, I let the office sink into the
No nie ma.
ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested
Może tu?
away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come
10.
up with on the
O
next
kuźwa,
go
chyba są.
around will be even
One są
better.
ukryte, pomieszane.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying
Fioletowa
this
dwójka,
so
fioletowa
much.
dwójka.
You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Ty, ale
dear
tutaj
me,
tego?
what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you
Kuźwa.
just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it
Nigdzie
on?
nie znalazłem
I mean,
takiego.
look at you, running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? But you really believe there's an answer?
2 razy
How many
fioletowy?
times will
Nie,
you
to nic nie
replay this
zmienia.
bit, looking
Chyba, że 2
desperately for a
różne.
solution? 10, 100, 1000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me in the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for
Może
all of
2?
eternity. And Stanley
I
died
teraz
again. And
fioletowy.
Stanley died again. And
Nie.
Stanley died
Goodbye.
again.
Aha. Aha.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Aha.
30 seconds until a big...
Czyli chyba się tego nie dało grać.
No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your
Kuźwa.
real life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say...
No dobra,
happily
trzymaj się.
ever after.
Teraz się go posłuchamy. Dobra.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers.
No tak,
Stanley
to już
thought.
znamy.
How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ciekawe w sumie, co się stanie, jak wyłączymy to. Jakie będzie zakończenie.
Yet there was not
Co
a
narrator
single
wymyślił.
person here
W sumie to
either.
jest właśnie to, co
Feeling a wave
robimy,
of
nie?
disbelief,
Jakby
Stanley decided to
wyłączenie
go
tej
up to his
placówki jest
boss's
częścią
office. Coming to a
zgadzania się
staircase,
na to,
Stanley
co
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
narrator sobie wymyślił. Już mi otwiera od razu.
Here's the door, just
No, już idę, już idę. Okej. Jazda.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okej. I teraz tak, to.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find
Ty.
out?
Chyba... A co się... Jak coś się dzieje... Chyba źle zrobiłem.
Aha!
A jednak!
At the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content.
O, nowy
You can call
content!
it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates.
Nowy
Isn't that what
ending,
you
let's
crave?
go.
New content. Always more content, more content, more.
Myślisz tak jak
more.
ja!
And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game, with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game.
Co
It's
ty
a
gadasz?
secret that's just for you. That's how
Dzięki!
special you are.
O
We call this
Boże.
track Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility.
Niezła nazwa.
Well done. Good
Ja pierdzielę, co jest?
Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job. You made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have
Ja
been careful.
pierdolę.
It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending.
Nie mogę, kurwa, z tej gry.
I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. But railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
Boże. Nie wierzę, że upadek. Pokusiło, żeby zeskoczyć, ale nie wierzę, że upadek był zakończeniem.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Nawet to przewidzieli.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, a teraz go posłuchajmy po prostu.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ty, ale... Czekajcie, dobra. Wyprzedziłem go po prostu. Jezu, już miałem mindfucka przez chwilę.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay. Here's the door, just go.
Here's the door, just go.
Dobra. To też jest w sumie niezły pomysł, żeby nie klikać
Stanley walked
nic
straight ahead
i
to
zobaczyć,
the
czy się
large
wkurzy.
door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Nie mam pojęcia.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced
Creepy
to
gówno.
images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Dobra.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Ale to jest mocne, bo narrator na początku
No.
mówił, nie? Że Stanley się cieszy swoją robotą, ale może po prostu były klikane przyciski, że ma być szczęśliwy.
Someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Dobra.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
I co
And as
jeżeli
the
teraz
cold reality
nie
of his
kliknę
past began
nic?
to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its
Czekam.
terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Zobaczmy. Chyba narrator chce, żebyśmy coś zrobili jednak. Dobra. Wyłączmy to tak, jak narrator chciał. Oho. Oho.
Blackness. and a rising chill of uncertainty.
No jest niepewność.
Was it over? Yes. He had won.
Tak!
Defeated the machine.
Wygrałem!
Unshackled himself from someone else's
Uwolniłem
command.
ludzi.
Freedom was
Chociaż w sumie ich nie
mere
było, ale...
moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
To prawda.
Where had his
Dużo przed nami
co-workers
pewnie jeszcze.
gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber,
Jezu,
he
jestem
realized
wolny.
none of this mattered to him.
Wychodzę.
For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps
Jestem
his goal
wolny.
had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Wspaniałe.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way,
Strącz.
right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Stanley był szczęśliwy. Teraz naprawdę. I wylądował w biurze z powrotem. Miałem się przyjrzeć oknom, dostałem taką instrukcję. Telefon. Halo?
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Future Happiness. No spoko. A narrator? Halo? Narrator. O proszę!
Oh, new content.
Cześć! Stęskniłem się za tobą.
mean, new content?
Kurde. Gdym... Ajajaj. Dobra. Nowy content. Jaki będzie ten nowy content? Gdzie ja jadę?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable
Koniec?
Ultra Deluxe. As you may
Ah,
know, the Stanley
historia.
Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home
No w to
computers.
właśnie gramy. No właśnie! Czym jest Ultra
The Stanley
Deluxe?
Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley
More.
Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Dawaj mi to.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful.
Dokładnie.
I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Ja też.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special
No
yet,
dobra,
but
no,
I'm
dajmy
sure
szansę.
it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Dokładnie. Na pewno jest to świetny content. Jedziemy?
Is it broken? What's going on here?
Nie, no
Should
proszę.
should we be moving somewhere or... oh, here
O,
we
dobra,
go.
udało
Right,
się.
finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content.
Daj
Give me
się
the content,
rozwinąć.
Stanley.
Okej. To co?
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle?
Czekaj. A no tak, bo nie mogę skakać. Mogę skakać! Nowy content! O nie, jest ograniczona liczba podskoków. Dobra, co się stanie, jak spadną do zera? Aha, już nie mogę skakać. Myślałem, że coś się stanie. Dobra, idźmy dalej.
Is that it?
No właśnie trochę słabo,
Surely
nie?
that's not all the new content.
Nie, na pewno
There
coś
has to
jeszcze
be
mają.
something else, right?
No, miejmy nadzieję.
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive.
No,
It's
średnio
just
to wygląda.
elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good.
Very good.
Yes. I knew there had to be something else.
No pewnie.
Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Ja też. No nie gadaj.
That's it? You've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar.
Prawda.
And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it.
Prawda.
In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game?
Nie!
And we'll try to get back to what the
Nie!
Stanley Parable is really about.
Lepiej nie.
No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Okej, nic nie muszę mówić. O, poczekaj. Narrator chyba miał niezły pomysł. Jakby to wszystko było tylko sceną. O, tak wyglądało faktycznie to kiedyś. Niezła atrapa. Prawie się nabrałem.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
A co jeżeli pójdę tu? Trzymaj się.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you?
No sorry.
Well, fine. You're a dork anyway.
O, aha. A może jednak?
Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
A może jednak? Kuźwa, już nic nie mówi. Dobra, chodźmy. Chcę zobaczyć, co tu przygotował narrator. Wyrwijmy się z tego biura. No. Oho. Oho. No.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out
No
to be?
tak.
Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be.
O proszę.
So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
Dark
Take a
Soulsy?
look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories
O
so I
Boże.
can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Wspaniałe.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Prawda, kiedyś to było.
Oh, the waste.
2013. Stanley Parable zostało wypuszczone na świat. Boże, pudełkowa wersja. Wspomnienia wracają. Nagroda publiczności dla Stanley Parable. Kurde, BAFTA. Dla... No, tak, Stanley Parable. Remake. Huh. Trip down memory lane. Smile because it happened. Świetnie to wygląda, narratorze. The Stanley Parable Demonstration. Wspomnienia. Oj, to trochę gorsze wspomnienie. Co dalej? O, muza? Można wyjść?
Je suis dans la mémorise sur la pluie de l'eau et je n'attends plus que toi.
Cóż za piękny Memory Zone!
C'est là
In loving memory, little Stanley!
où je me
Oj.
remémore les jours
O nie!
où je t'ai rencontré, mon amour. Mais ici, c'est aussi
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley
O,
Parable. Like the
oceny,
stunning triumph of
recenzje.
games journalism. 10 out of 10 from
No i to było coś.
James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game
Jak mi się
ever
podoba, tak
created.
narrator
That's
liże
how grand
sobie
and
samemu dupę.
all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of
Sadge.
new elevator content.
O Boże. Ile nagród. Stanley, co jest? Można iść w dół? Można iść do góry, czekaj. Co jest na dole? Nie mogę wyjść. Okej. O, ładnie to miejsce wygląda w ogóle. Da się otworzyć? Nie da się.
Here's another moving passage,
Oh.
this time from
Oh.
GameSpot.com.
9 na
The
10.
Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust
może nie
in the
robić
hallowed
DLC
hall
Ultra
of the
Deluxe,
loved
tylko zrobić
video
dwójkę,
game
co?
memories.
Po prostu. Bo teraz sobie wspominamy, ale to dalej nie jest nowy content. Tak naprawdę ta gra świetnie się śmieje z tego, jak twórcy gier recyklingują coś, co już istnieje. Dobra. Nie mogę tu przejść. Serious Room. O Boże, nie mów, że gdybym nie wykorzystał wszystkich skoków w kółku, to bym mógł teraz to przejść.
The to a simpler time, Stanley.
Mówisz?
What I wouldn't give to go back,
O.
to have it all over again. Wait, hang on.
A co my tu
I don't
mamy?
recall this part of the memory zone before.
O proszę.
What's this? What's down here?
Steam.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting.
Bardzo
down
dobrze,
here.
nie czyta się komentarzy,
Surely these
stary.
reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Nie mogę, kuźwa.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art.
Prawda, prawda. Nie przejmuj się, stary. Jest dobrze. Ja cię lubię.
But the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Ile tych recenzji. Steam reviews. Ja pierdolę. Czemu ta gra jest tak świetna? Ona po prostu pluje w twarz całemu game developmentowi. Całej po prostu tak naprawdę gałęzi. Oho.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
Nie.
You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with.
No.
You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light
Ty,
and
ale
airy as it... Well, I
to
always
pewnie są faktyczne oceny, nie? Mocne.
Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
Czyli niektórzy ludzie nie lubili
I feel
narratora.
like a failure. Like I let these people down.
Ej,
Perhaps
no.
the Stanley
Smoucz.
parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Narratorze, my cię lubimy. Imagine być w grze za to, że dałeś negatywną opinię? Bez kitu. O Boże, co
What's this one
teraz?
got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of
fajnie.
what's happening. I wish there was
Jak możesz mieć inne zdanie, Cookie 9?
a skip button. Well,
O,
yes.
przycisk do
Yes, I
skipowania.
think we can do that.
Oho.
If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley.
kuźwa.
That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Okej. No spoko.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me
Ale ty
rambling
robisz
on
całą
and
grę,
on.
gościu.
No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't
Miły
sit
jesteś.
around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up.
O nie.
Yeah. We'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue.
Okay.
And it goes something like this. The story and the choices are what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is. So on and so forth, until inevitably, we all, until
Dobra,
the
uwaga.
end of time.
Oho.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a
Znowu się rozgaduje.
and more of a treatise.
On to robi celowo, żebym go
Maybe
skipnął.
a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person
Dobra,
who
gdybym
you
chciał
are
wyjść?
or were or
Nie
will
mogę.
be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless
Ciekawe, czy
thought,
skończy gadać.
or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite. You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will.
Ciekawe,
See,
ile
now
będzie
you've got me
gadał.
Going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay,
Spoko.
look, I have a method for
Ja mam
exactly
czas.
this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated
O
succession
Boże, czyli
until
będzie
I
się
become
powtarzał.
sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto.
I teraz będzie tak gadał.
Manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Treatise, manifesto.
Treatise,
Kuźwa, gość jest mocny. Dobra,
Treatise,
uwaga.
Manifesto. Well, there's sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I
Wspaniale.
can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this.
Cookie 9! Jeszcze go kuźwa zname dropował tego recenzenta.
To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work...
Dobra, znowu się rozgadujesz. Nie, nie, nie.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer.
Oh!
That last one was, well, I want to say maybe
Co?
30, 45 minutes?
Co? A no tak, bo on mówił, że to przenosi mnie w czasie, ale on gada cały czas.
I know it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been
Mam nie
aptly
klikać?
demonstrated,
No
and we can
dobra.
say goodbye. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12
O
hours.
kuźwa!
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room.
Jak to?
Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen.
No, trzeba się
I have
dowiedzieć.
no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything... Oh, Stanley, you're back.
Jezu.
You're back.
Roślinka.
Oh, goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Tydzień?
Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here.
Co
with a
się
single
kuźwa
person to
dzieje?
speak with. And you'd think that
Biedny
that's
narrator.
just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've
Wybacz,
always
ale...
been doing? Me.
O kuźwa.
Hello, it's you.
O, cześć.
Here again. Well,
Żyjesz, to dobrze.
I have had
Roślinka
time
już
to
nie.
think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year.
O
Have you ever
kuźwa!
sat down in one place and not move for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I
Znowu
have ever
filozofujesz.
experienced my entire...
O kuźwa. Czy on nie żyje? Czy on umarł? O Jezus. Alarm pika. Dobra. A zegar spadł? Okej.
But they didn't understand.
Oh,
the game
żyjesz!
was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of
Ten
their
dalej.
pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others.
Brzmi jak
Of course,
filozofowanie-
absolutely
filozofowanie.
anyone can leave a review. So here's what we...
No kuźwa, czy ty teraz znowu umarłeś?
The end is never the end, is never the end, is
Co
never the end,
jest?
is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Mąka W.
Is never the end, 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 is never.
O. Znowu cię nie ma. I teraz pewnie znowu będziesz, co? Czy nie można go kliknąć? Zepsuł się. O. Co jest? Co tu się kuźwa dzieje? Ty w sumie jak tam już po kilku kliknięciach minął rok, to ile teraz czasu minęło? O cholera. Roślinność? Nie. Myślałem. Co tu się dzieje? O! A propos roślinności. Ty. Chyba już po apokalipsie normalnie. O, XD. Co tu się dzieje? Teraz cisza. Co jest? Coś po mnie kuźwa szło. Aha. O! Co? O kurwa. Przeżyłem koniec. Narrator, on już dawno nie żyje pewnie. A mogę znowu kliknąć? No dobra, idę. Budować świat od nowa. Jestem wolny, Stanley. The end is never the end. Ty no ale... Co dalej? O! Biuro? Haha! Co teraz? A telefon? Czekaj.
Good morning. Thank you for
To już
contacting
było.
the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327
Nowy content? No kuźwa, kusisz.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Co tym razem? Powiedz, że kółko z nielimitowanymi skokami. O kurde, inną drogą jadę. A nie, to samo. Znowu jump circle?
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new
No,
content
kiedyś to
for it
było.
should live up to
Pokazałeś
that.
mi Memory Zone.
So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one
Co
step
jest?
even further. Which is why
Co
I'm
jest?
very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley parable.
Co ty gadasz? Co ty mówisz? Mówiłem, że przydałoby się drugą część zrobić. Nie wierzę.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover. With a
Bez
fully
kitu.
fledged sequel.
Nowe biuro widzę
Entirely
nowocześnie,
new
ładnie,
built
nie
from
tak
the
jak w
ground
PRL-u.
up. Why there are so many possibilities? It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
No. O kurde. The end is never the end. Again. Stanley Parable 2. 427. O,
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than
Nie ma nóg,
Ultra
dalej mi
Deluxe,
nóg nie
don't you
dali.
think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean?
No prawda,
But
Ultra
the
Deluxe to
Stanley
jest słaba
Parable
nazwa.
2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Taste the sequel! Ja Czemu nie ma 2 po polsku? A, wiesz ty co, Stanley. Blood Trail. No dobra. Nowe biuro. Nie wierzę. They are back. 2 doors. Stanley Parable 2. Wszystko nawiązuje do dwójki. Mocne. O kurde.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley
Nie.
Parable 2 is going to be.
No
But
czemu?
let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing.
Miałeś
for
10
it.
lat.
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Tia. Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, Divinity, Doom. No, z tym ostatnim bym się nie zgodził. Tak ogólnie, ale co do reszty nawet chyba słuszna uwaga. Że sequele są niezłe. Co mamy tutaj? Meeting plan? Scrum, design pitch, break pitch design, number 2 chat, okej. 2 oka, 2 ucha, 2 nozdrza, 2 ręce, 2 nogi. Stanley Parable 2. New features? No jakie są te nowe feature'y? Mogę usiąść i obejrzeć? Nie mogę. O! Pociąg do nowego kontentu odjeżdża, w sumie autobus. Lubiłem używać tego porównania za każdym razem, gdy odchodziłem od czegoś. Potem nie robiłem kontentu przez tydzień. Dobra. Ja pierdzielę! Macie rozmach tym razem.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
No dobra, co my tu mamy? The Stanley Parable 2 Exclusive. Przycisk, który mówi imię gracza, który właśnie gra. Nie! Co ty mówisz?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people.
Prawda.
So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
Świetne.
Isn't that wonderful?
No pewnie, ale jak to zrobiliście? Droga do perfekcyjnego przycisku. Za duży, za mały, idealny. To prawda. Wystarczający. No co ty, jest ten przycisk. Uwaga!
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Aha.
But of course, in the final game,
Aha.
this button will say your
Czyli ja jestem
name,
testerem.
whatever name that is.
Okej.
Here, let's have you roleplay as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind,
Okay.
forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
Dobra, jestem Jim.
I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Jestem
Please
Jim.
step forward and press the button. Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush, that was you! The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money.
No.
Let's take a break from the gym.
Tylko, że to nie był
I'm
jedyny
too
feature.
emotionally drained from all of this personal
Weźmy przerwę?
validation.
Jakbyś trochę mi sugerował, że mógłbym to...
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim.
Nie można być zbyt bardzo Jimem.
Otherwise,
Nie,
soon
nie!
you'll start to lose
Daj mi
all
być
sense
Jimem!
of who you actually are.
Aha. A da się pójść tutaj? Kuźwa. No dobra. Ale może kiedyś ten przycisk faktycznie będzie mówił imię gracza. Znaczy, przepraszam, jestem Jim, tak? A może jestem Stanley?
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing
W
it.
sumie. Jaka przekmina. Dajmy zagrać tylko Jimom. Zrobione. Co mamy tutaj? A whole new office. Stylowy. Stylowa wykładzinka. Red is the new orange. Okej, z czerwonym teraz będzie. Aha. A co tutaj mamy? O, to ja. Collectibles? Uwielbiam kolekcjonować. Jezus. A, bo to jest cała ekspozycja, rozumiem. Wystawa nowego Stanley Parable 2. Darmowy, nowy i łatwy achievement. I cytat, nie mogę uwierzyć, że to takie proste. Pewnie, że chcę darmowy achievement.
Now here's something special.
Uh-huh.
You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on
O,
accident?
wspominałeś.
Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
A, do tej maszyny. I co? Pociągam za dźwignię i mam... achievement.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the
Narrator.
achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes
Yeah.
of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
No nie idzie. Ewidentnie nie idzie. No dobra. Jakie jeszcze masz atrakcje? Ty, ale zobacz. Fajny achievement. Każdy by taki chciał, nie? Czad, bralibyście taki achievement? Za darmo? Łatwy, prosty? Nie można
What
uwierzyć, że
else?
taki
What
prosty?
other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Pewnie, że tak. Powróciło! O kurwa, dalej mam 0.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley
Okay.
Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we
Aha.
saw the jump
Nie dasz mi
circle.
nowych?
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Dzięki. Dobra. Chodźmy do tych kolekcjonerskich rzeczy. Can you find them? Co jest?
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them.
No faktycznie
I don't
innowacyjne.
want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Super. Idę do tego. Idę w stronę światła. Zbliżam się. Jezu, to są ludzie i próbują się dobrać. To figurki Stanleya. O. No i mam 1 na 6. Collect them all. Świetne, naprawdę. A to, że nie ma nagrody, zupełna nowość. Podoba mi się.
And then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Dobra, co tutaj mamy? Wyjście. A co gdybym chciał wyjść?
Oh goodness, Stanley, this is fairly awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to the bucket exhibit.
Dobrze, sprawdzę
You see,
resztę.
There's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves the bucket. And
Okej,
I really
wiadro.
do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the bucket, okay?
Nieskończona dziura? Idę. Wiadro poczeka. A może to jest to? Czekaj.
Okay, I'll be honest, I
to co?
haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Nie jestem kuźwa 12-latkiem.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along.
Aha, czyli odwrotnie.
Happy 12th birthday, stepniece, it is.
Okej, spoko. Oj, pojawiły się na screenshotach.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Okej. Merch. Czekaj. Biorę telefon do ręki. Przenosi cię na stronę Stanley Parable. Mocne. A sequel, huh? Ja pierdzielę. Jakby to był Rickroll, to też byłoby dobre. Dobra. Co mamy tutaj? The button that says gym. O, naprawiliście, widzę reklamę. Spoko. O, tu jest to wiadro. Ale ja chcę tą nieskończoną dziurę. Poka. Time and depth. Opening. Kurde, cała analiza dziury. Infinity.
Stanley, here's
Oh,
an idea
yes.
that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
O kuźwa. Dobra, jest dach. Wszystko super fajnie, pięknie, tylko jak do niej wskoczę, to już z niej nie wyjdę, bo będę ciągle spadał. Dobra.
You see?
Lecę.
It's wonderful. One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so.
Świetna sprawa.
Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top.
Jaki jest
and we
przycisk
can
teleporta?
continue
A!
onward.
Mogę Poczekaj. Poczekaj,
Now, I don't mean
poczekaj.
to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Haha, czyżby dziura nieskończona nie była wcale nieskończona? Czyżby ten koniec
Stanley, I don't
nadciągał?
know quite how to say this tactfully.
No.
It's possible that I slightly exaggerate
Ah.
the infinite nature of the hole.
A,
Is
mówisz
it a very,
teraz?
very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity.
Koniec.
From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Mam cię,
Hey, well,
oszuście.
good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall?
Nie jestem normalny, stary.
I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Aha!
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean.
Głównie
Why
ty.
don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite?
Lepiej
If
to
that
brzmi.
works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on.
A co jeśli
I'll
tu
just be
zostanę?
up here when you're ready.
Ja mam czas. Co tam, no? Ulotka na ziemi? O, jest. Meeting at 2 p.m. Ta, Stanley Parable 2. Dobra, chyba nic nie mówi. Dobra, teleportujemy się.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Okej. Ale...
Oh, for heaven...
Haha!
You see? I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no. You have a weird sort of... Oh.
Coś szybciej tu jesteśmy.
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
Nawet
I couldn't
widzę
help but
lepiej
feel like you've spent a
początek.
little less time in there than
Masz rację,
before.
narratorze.
I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Aha. Stanley lubi dziury. No cóż.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
Nie.
I really do have so much... Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
Jeszcze szybciej. Ona się kurczy.
Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the whole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the whole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability in marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Sprawdźmy to.
Well, there it is.
O,
The shame of my lie has
o
come to
kuźwa.
haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you?
No bo to
I
dziura.
know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Dobra, teraz jej w ogóle nie będzie? O kuźwa.
Is the, teleport button not working?
Ty śmieciu.
You sure? Well, I mean,
Nie mam
I really
skoków.
don't have an explanation. It was working
O,
just a
szlugi.
moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this.
No.
I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
Co?
You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for.
A, dzięki.
It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take
Super
care,
jesteś,
Stanley.
stary.
I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of your life together.
Poszedł, kurwa. Aha. No jesteśmy w dupie. Co jest? Co to było? O kuźwa. Jedziemy. Ej, jaka muza. O Boże, ale mi się wspomnienie odblokowało. Nie wiem czy wam też, ale mi się ta muza fest kojarzy z Apex Legends. Czułem zawsze jakąś taką giga epickość, jak odpalałem tę grę i byłem w menu. Ty, jedziemy. Change your perspective? To ja! Co jest, kurwa? Mam nogi! Chodzę! Nie mogę chodzić teraz, szkoda. Change your perception. Let's go! Co jest? Dobra, to jest creepy muza. Co jest? Co tu się odkurwia? Dobra, change your reality. Co jest, kurwa? Boże! Change yourself? O! O! Giga chat. Co tu się kuźwa dzieje?
Stanley?
O! Narrator! O, sorry.
Oh, good, you're awake.
Aha.
It seems you had sort of dozed off,
Zasnąłem!
drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this
A może
hole,
dasz mi po
and
prostu
I'm looking
wyjść?
forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Lupy. Wróć no. Oho. Stanley Parable 2.
Go on, try out some of the new features.
Dobra. Chodźmy do wiadra teraz.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical.
No ale to
That it
fajnie.
engendered a chaotic
Ta gra jest
sense
tak
of
absurdalna, że aż
reckless despair in
cudowna.
those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind.
Wiaderko.
It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of
Chcesz mi
jarring
powiedzieć, że
cognitive dissonance
wiadro pomoże mi się
while the bucket is in
uspokoić,
your
chillować i
arms.
będzie lepiej w tej grze?
It's a much more
Pewnie
convenient
wezmę.
solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Dobra, biorę. Co jest?
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as
Znaczy,
well?
co jak co, ale
I
to
think
wiadro
that
nic
just
nie
holding
robi.
it has made you the slightest bit more
Narrator, co ty
attractive as a person.
pierdzielisz?
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Żyję, przepraszam, wiadro daje mi mega poczucie potęgi. Żartowałem, wiadro pomaga. Dobra, idźmy z wiaderkiem. Walimy wiadro?
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Gdzie teraz? Przycisk był... A może teraz mogę wyjść, jak już wszystko zbadałem? Jezus, co to był za... To brzmiało jak... Kuźwa, kumple mieli stare pecety i telefon im zadzwonił. Gdzie jest wyjście? Może zniknęło? Tu jest wyjście, dobra. Co teraz? Idę z wiaderkiem. Oho. Mogę wyjść. Nie przyblokował mnie. To ja, Stanley. The end is never the end. O kuźwa.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features?
Świetnie
So I know
było.
it's not exactly
Naprawdę
clear
mega dobrze
yet
się
how
bawiłem.
Exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Okej.
Okay. Are you ready?
Pewnie.
Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
A. Czyli po prostu naprawdę je wszystkie połączył.
I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement.
Ja, weź coś innego wykmij.
Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley?
Nie wiem.
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel
są raczej
that
dodatki,
would capture
stary.
all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and
Dokładnie. I tam dodać.
insert a few of my new features.
Dokładnie tak.
Tastefully, of course, with respect, with care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2.
To zrób taki.
Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oho. O! Jest! Stanley Parable 2. Mamy to. A zaczeka animacja. Let's go!
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he
Są
was
balony.
employee number 427.
Dodał wszystko.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley
Was happy.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever
Jest dwójka.
change Stanley.
Widać te
Something he would
zmiany z
never
kilometra.
quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in
Sadge.
all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his
Mamy
desk
to.
and stepped out of his office.
Dobra, co się zmieniło? Są balony, to na pewno.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Nie mam nóg dalej, szkoda. Jest wiadro!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Let's go. Okej.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the
No
door
pewnie,
on his
nie
left.
oddam tego wiaderka. Nie ma opcji. Idę tutaj. Posłucham się go.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
W końcu mam towarzysza. Moje kochane wiadro. To trochę jak w tym. W Castaway. Wilson piłka.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Dobra.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket.
Cały czas wiadro niby mnie ratuje, da? Przed złymi emocjami.
Did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos? It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Dobra, 2845. Mamy to.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
Nie.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
To dzięki wiaderku,
Yes,
dokładnie.
this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Jedziemy. Bucket, może mi pomożesz nie wybuchnąć na dole.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Dobra. Z wiadrem na pewno będzie dobrze.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Idziemy, Bucket, chodź, nie bój się. Znam już to miejsce.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
Nazwę cię
Stanley and the bucket both
Buck.
muttered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Okej. Dobra. Odpalaj.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket
Towarzystwo.
tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
No ale wcześniej mogłem ufać tylko sobie, więc fajnie, że chociaż wiadro jest.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle
Dokładnie.
the controls for good.
Rozwalimy to.
Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
Tak
They
jest.
high-fived in a really cool way.
Jak on mi
The
przybył
bucket made a
piątkę?
sassy comment about taking down the system.
Dobra. Let's go.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it.
Let's go.
Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest
Daliśmy radę,
enemy,
Buck.
freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door.
O tak.
The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together.
O
With one
tak.
another to lean on, to trust, to support, and
W końcu nie samemu. Co jest? Nie no, otwórz.
what? Wait. What was happening?
Nie.
Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
O Boże,
Unbearable
co się
silence
stało?
filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place.
Czyli biuro nie chce mnie wypuścić, bo też chce wiaderko.
Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself.
No ale może
as long as
jednak
I have my
oświetlmy
bucket
sobie
with me,
drogę.
right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oho. No tak. No tak.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Dawaj wiadro.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Świetnie. Giga komfort.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting.
Idziemy źle.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Dokładnie.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nie.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good, said the bucket. Now
tego nie
ride the
próbowaliśmy
lift
w
all the
sumie.
way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
O,
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He
No i
was firmly
spoko, niech
convinced
se
that the
gada.
bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
ty, tu mnie nie było.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go
Okay.
into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again
Najpierw
obeyed
tu.
blindly.
Kurde, nie mogę. No dobra, idę. Słucham się wiaderka. Tylko pytanie, czy to narrator interpretuje mi głos wiaderka? Czy on udaje wiaderko, żebym się dalej go słuchał? Co jest?
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pokat.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley
Co?
and his bucket.
Co jest?
Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend.
No.
And then,
Moje
very
mieszkanie!
distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Jest i on. Hello Stanley, it's me, your bucket. Press B to take me to work with you. A gdybym tego nie klikał? Albo dobra, kliknę. O,
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
a, czyli Stanley jest walnięty. Okej. Po raz kolejny. Jest i on. Kliknij V, żeby wziąć ze sobą wiaderko do domu. O,
Lately, I've
mój
been
dom!
concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Wiadro przejęło kontrolę nade mną. Dobra, idziemy do pracy z wiaderkiem.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me?
Nie.
Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location.
Co ty,
That's
ono
it.
mówi?
It doesn't do
To wiadro
anything
jest
else.
świetne. Don't listen to the loud man. Dobra, idziemy. Chodź, bucket.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Smutno jest narratorowi, ale teraz mam nowego kumpla. Mogę nawet go przytulić. O kuźwa, kliknij te, żeby zignorować każdego w swoim życiu poza wiadrem.
Sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Co ty pierdzielisz? Myślisz, że jestem prawdziwy, prawda, Stanley? Wciśnij P, żeby zabrać mnie do domu. Pewnie bucket.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting...
Czyżby tobie też się podobało, narratorze? Wiaderko? Ono jest moje. Dobra. Każdy dzień. W kółko, z wiaderkiem.
Oh my God, what am I saying?
O, siedzimy razem. Ta lampa, żeby tutaj cień był.
Just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Dobra.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket.
Co?
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket.
Nie!
Give it to
Jest
me.
moje!
Give me the bucket, Stanley. I
Zostaw
need it.
wiaderko.
Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Walka o sexy wiadro. Wracaj do pracy, Stanley. Spoko. Ale mam nadzieję, że ty tu gdzieś jesteś. Nie ma go. Gdzie jest wiadro? Telefon?
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Okej. To nie do mnie i tak. Dobra, mówiliście coś o oknach, ale co ja mam z oknami zrobić? Masz krzesło? Ja nie mogę na nie wejść. Może w innym miejscu. O! O! Ty! O kuźwa!
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map, until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's
Fuck!
design all
Myślałem,
along.
że
He
oszukałem.
then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure
To też
and its
przewidzieli.
examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be?
Pewnie jest mega
Why
ładne
don't we
i boli
take
mnie
a
w
minute
oczy.
just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Nie. Albo... No, o.
Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer?
Pewnie tak.
Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly,
No tak.
this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is Rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are
Ale
one of the
filozofia
lucky ones.
gamingu, co
Though if
jest?
the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Zobaczmy, co się stanie, jak tu zostanę. Chyba nic, ale mogę powiedzieć, że mam dość. Albo... O kuźwa. Aha. Sprawdźmy to. No dobra.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Co się stanie, jak
room.
pójdę tu
Perhaps he had
znowu?
simply missed a memo.
Bo było o tym
No
gadane.
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Siema.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken
Kuźwa.
the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game.
Dobra. To nie to. Kurde.
How long
Dobra.
was I sitting
Dawaj mi
there?
wiaderko.
Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Super, ta notatka średnio potrzebna, bo nie masz nawet dla kogo pracować. Wszyscy kuźwa zniknęli.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors. He entered the door on his left.
Minąłeś wiadro? Bucket.
All of his co-workers
Co
were
jest?
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Chodź
The
tu.
confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Gdzie my teraz jesteśmy? A. Ale czemu tak się stało? Sprawdzę drzwi. O! Witamy w zakończeniu białej tablicy. Super. Dzięki. Kolejne zakończenie.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No to idę w prawo w takim razie.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was.
Dobra,
Had
i
the
posiedźmy
bucket
tu
turned
chwilę
out to
z
be
wiaderkiem
correct?
tym
Was
razem.
this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
No. Kuźwa.
Truly,
O!
being here with the bucket was a
Jednak.
grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. Then arriving at the lounge. What a thrilling journey the bucket had
Niesamowita
inspired.
wyprawa. No, poczekajmy jeszcze. Co tam, narratorku?
Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home. Here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a bucket can even feel at home. Stanley decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Z pewnością. Będzie coś jeszcze? Czy nie? No. Kurde, nie chyba.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door.
Wcześniej poszedłem tam, teraz
to get
chodźmy tu.
back to business. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
A gdybym zawrócił? O! Kurde. Dobra.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now
O!
more than ever.
Idziemy z wiaderkiem
Perhaps his
tutaj.
boss's office. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it?
Oho!
The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket.
Co jest?
I can really feel
W sumie
it.
pasuje tutaj.
It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Stanley, don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion
Dokładnie tak.
and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the
Po tym jak
broom
zobaczyłem
closet
to
is sunk
wiaderko
that
w
it has to
otoczeniu
resort
świec
to
na
this
moim łóżku,
stream of
wiedziałem,
petty
że
insults simply
nie
in
mogę
order
go
to
oddać
get you to
nikomu
hand
innemu.
over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point.
Okej.
Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your
Jak mnie to rozpierdala, że to wszystko jest tak bogato rozpisane wokół pierdzielonego wiaderka. Niesamowite to jest, jak ta gra jest absurdalna.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
O! Własność
Now it's
Stanleya.
settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well
Robimy
because
to.
I think it's appropriate.
Czekamy jak najdłużej.
You see?
Zamknę
I
drzwi.
feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket.
Ty, teraz mam dwa
That way,
wiaderka.
if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Dobra. Czekamy na trzecią naklejkę, na pewno będzie.
You know what? I
Uh-huh.
could take the name calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies.
Ma dosyć.
Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Papa. Poczekajmy jeszcze chwilę. Dobra. Idziemy.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and
I
the bucket
teraz
walked upstairs to
idziemy
the
na dół.
boss's office.
Collectibles.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these.
Let's
Only
go!
the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Dobra. Jazda dalej.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his
Tu mnie
boss,
nie było
admitting
jeszcze.
he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
O kuźwa,
Maybe,
co
he
jest?
thought to himself, maybe
Huh?
I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close,
Co tu
yet
się
felt
dzieje?
none of its familiar
Co
reassurance
jest?
inside it. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
Nie,
Someone
to jest
else's
wyjątkowe
bucket.
wiadro. Nie myśl tak,
How did I
Stanley.
end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of
Wrzucił.
bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it.
Daj mi wiadro.
Far off in the distance
Daj
now,
mi
he
wiaderko.
heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them
O,
were his
kuźwa.
special bucket.
Żadne nie jest moje. Gdzie jest moje wiadro?
Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly,
Daj mi wiadro.
his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all
Co
along.
kurwa?
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
O kurwa, co?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Aha. Spotka mnie na ziemi?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security and walked to her place of
O!
work.
Teraz ona dostanie schizy i upadnie przez wiadro.
A man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
A nie, to
Of
było...
course he'd gone mad.
Jest jakby
Ranting
świat
and raving about a
pełen
narrator describing
bucketów,
all
a
of
to
his
jest jej
actions,
własne.
and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket.
Ile ja bym dał, że takie wiadro rozwiązywało wszystkie problemy?
He'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Muszę sobie sam ogarnąć takie wiaderko do domu. Jest rewelacyjne. Chodź tu, bucket. I ma naklejki.
With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
No to teraz chodźmy w lewo. O kuźwa, co jest? How we can find them collectibles. What we know, small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have to synergize our resources to ensure their retrieval. Ty, w toalecie jest jedno. Czerwony pokój. Red room? Łąka W. Co jest? Zaufaj instynktowi kolekcjonera. Good luck. No dobra. Muszę znaleźć wszystkie figurki. Mam już dwie. Jedna była na dole.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I w toalecie powinna być jedna. Ha,
Another miniature
cześć!
Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or
Mini
what about
stands?
Stanlerines? Yes, I think I
A tak
like
się nie
that.
mówiło na tych, co
Another
jeden dzień K-popu słuchają?
Stanlerine under your belt.
Dobra. Czyżby w windzie było kolejne? Może tym razem winda mnie gdzieś zaprowadzi. Śpiewaj, Bucket, razem ze mną. Dobra, starczy tego dobrego. A gdyby tak,
Stepping into his
zrobić
manager's
escape
office,
ending z
Stanley was once
Bucketem?
again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes.
Chodźmy.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Kolejny Stanley.
Frankly, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies.
Stanlerines brzmi nieźle.
What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Dobra. Ty tam rozkminiaj nad nową nazwą, a ja sobie poeksploruję. A to prawda, z Bucketem jakoś tak pewnie.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large
Nie.
door that read
Idę w lewo.
Mind Control Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
A teraz we dwójkę zginiemy? No zobaczmy.
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Okej. Jestem. Jesteśmy Bucket. Kuźwa, nie jest dobrze.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to
To jest
be.
niesamowite, jak oni
To be
wszystko
sure,
jeszcze pod
it puts
Bucketa
the mind
dostosowali
and the
drugi
soul
raz.
at ease to embrace the
No, w
bucket.
końcu Stanley
What
Parable
use is a
2,
sense
prawda?
of ease when you're about to be crushed to death. This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Trzymaj się.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
Dobra, pięknie. Jesteśmy teraz w muzeum. Ciekawe, czy coś tam znajdę z Bucketem. Ale przesiałam wiaderko, czy nie? Nie! Wiadro zmarło! O Boże! Poświęciłem wiadro. The bucket welcomes you to the grand exhibit.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far
Inferno
more
bucket.
noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
The stress bucket. Ja pierdolę. wierzę. Czasami myślę, że przy tworzeniu tej grze musiało być naprawdę niezłe ćpanie. Walone wiadro było chyba właśnie. Jest tu. The hanging bucket. A, tak to zrobili. Mogę sobie zejść? O, nie spadłem.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die.
Nie.
Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader,
Dobra, chcę to
as
zobaczyć.
commander of a new world,
Zobaczmy.
a new vision of the...
Kurde. Myślałem, że zobaczę, nie wiem, początek gry i będzie This is the story of a man named Bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Teraz pójdźmy w prawo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Dawaj figurkę.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
Tutaj jeszcze
Cargo
coś
lift,
jest.
Yes, go there.
Ty.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the
Czekaj,
top. There's
czekaj.
something up there I need you to do.
Stanley
mnie
did
nie
not
było.
question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this.
Uwaga.
He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger everywhere. Okej.
No, stop! Look there on the wall, you see? There's a
Co?
sign right there. It says, no
Nie,
buckets past this point.
ja idę z wiadrem.
Stanley,
Nie, nie,
how
nie.
would you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a
Ja pierdolę.
Please, step in here for a moment.
Is this a bucket?
Now then,
Jakie
I'm
show.
going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket.
Okej.
Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
No zobaczmy.
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
Tak, to wiaderko.
Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket,
Co?
not an actual bucket.
O, wiesz ty co?
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Tak, to wiadro.
Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Dzięki.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Tak, to wiadro.
Correct. This is
Oh.
a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Nie, to nie wiadro. A może? W sumie to... Może?
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
Tak, to wiaderko.
Correct.
Co?
This is a bucket.
Co jest kurwa?
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
Nie.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Ale jak to?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let's see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here.
A może jednak?
And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing?
Może.
Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Tak.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective.
Sorry,
What
sorry.
is a bucket? What isn't a bucket?
Ryje
Mere
beret
moments ago I could answer
narratorowi.
these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Ja.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
Jesteś
I'm
Jesteś
losing myself,
wiaderkiem.
and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
Nie!
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone?
No bo
Why did everything
wiaderko to
disappear?
wszystko.
Was everything a bucket?
Mhm.
Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Tak.
Oh my god, I had no idea.
No właśnie.
How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
No nie
This
jestem.
is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what. I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay?
Spoko.
And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right.
No myślę, że
here we
ludzie
go.
się nie spodziewają, że wszystko to wiaderko. Powróciły wiaderka. To było chyba najbardziej odklejone zakończenie.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Przepraszam.
The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
Idziemy.
Stanley had felt the bucket calling to
Tylko
him,
gdzie?
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on
W
his
sumie
left to go back to the meeting.
nie
And so the
próbowałem
two of them
wybuchnąć z
detoured
wiaderkiem.
to the maintenance section
Może
and walked
pomoże mi z
straight ahead to
wybuchem.
the opposite door. Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Co jest? Co to kuźwa jest?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
Aha.
We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want
A,
from
to
a
są
sequel.
wszystko moi
They want
przyjaciele,
more of
tak?
their favorite jokes, not
Co
this
tu robi ten
bucket
Kidos?
that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. don't you want another story involving the adventure line? We could make the adventure line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
A, dobra, odsłonił mi to.
Look at that. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
O Boże. Rzucił mi wszystko naraz na łeb.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Chyba grafiki nie wgrały ci się.
Drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it
Podobał mi
was
się
back
ten dowcip.
then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Ale nie wiaderko. Narratorze, przyjacielu. Tylko nie wiadro.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Nie. O nie, 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 nie,
I think
nie,
it'll make a
nie.
wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
A mogę wyjść?
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
No,
I
no.
don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying
Kuźwa.
buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with
Oj.
only one personality
jest?
trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet?
Coraz
Certainly
bardziej
not.
się
I wonder what
trzęsie
sort of
wszystko, co
Bucket
się,
Destroyer
kurwa, dzieje?
merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they
Czekam.
want. Hurry and...
O kurwa. Co jest?
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
I teraz idziemy zrobić ostatnią rzecz chyba już, tak mi się wydaje. Bierzemy wiadro i próbujemy poradzić sobie z wybuchem na dole.
A bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Zobaczmy, może wiadro nas uratuje.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office,
2,
Stanley was
8,
once
4,
again
5.
stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Teraz tu. I zobaczymy.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Chodź, bucket. Nie boimy się, już tu byliśmy.
On an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Okej.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Jestem 427,
Everyone
nie?
in the office was being
Jest mój pokój.
monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except...
Lewa! Dobra.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began
Uwaga,
to sink in,
bucket,
Stanley
kontrolujemy
decided
umysły.
but at the last second, the bucket jumped
Co?
in and pressed the button to turn on the
O,
controls.
to bucket to kliknął.
Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself?
Oho.
How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
Co?
Birds.
Co?
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
Ptaki i ptaki. O.
Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world.
Tak, tak.
The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions.
Aha.
Had the
Czyli
bucket
tak
done
to
this all
było.
along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hand, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
Metalowy geniusz.
Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
No dobra. Ale co te... A, czyli tak po prostu wygląda to zakończenie. Okej. Kurde, powiem szczerze, naprawdę nie spodziewałem się znowu, że ta gra będzie taka fajna. Wiedziałem, że Stanley jest niezłą grą, ale nie wiedziałem, że na takich rzeczach można tak niesamowicie zbudować fabułę i w sumie, może nie fabułę, ale przytrzymać zaangażowanie na tak długo. I wydaje mi się, że to też trochę jest intencja tej gry, nie? Że ona pokazuje game development od innej strony, trochę takiej prześmiewczej, że nawet z wiadra można zrobić fajny content. Narrator rewelacyjnie to poprowadził. Nie wiem, mega dobra gierka.